Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing another reaction video for you. Now if you follow me on Instagram you will know that I put up a story, maybe about a week and a half ago, asking people if they wanted me to do a reaction to the new Persuasion trailer from Netflix, and it was a unanimous 100% yes. From everybody. They wanted me to do one, so this is what we're doing today. I've got a few things to go through first before we get into the actual reaction trailer, but I'm going to keep the whole video quite short so that it's nice and snappy. So yeah, we are reacting to the trailer, the first trailer that has been released by Netflix for the new film adaptation of Persuasion, which comes out on the 15th of July this year. So not got too long to wait until it comes out. And it's starring Dakota Johnson as Anne Elliot and Cosmo Jarvis as Captain Wentworth. I don't know Cosmo Jarvis. I haven't seen anything that he's been in before. So firstly, I want to make a couple of notes about things like copyright and my opinion. So this video is a review video of the trailer. There's going to be some pausing in between as I kind of break down the trailer a little bit, and it's a completely raw reaction. So I'm using the fair use clause within copyright, which means that I can basically show the trailer in terms of its reviewing. So just to let you know there that I'm not trying to like gain views because it's Persuasion. I'm not just showing the trailer. I'm going to be doing a lot of commentary alongside it as well. So the other thing to know is that I haven't yet seen this trailer. In fact, I've kept away from anything on the internet that is Persuasion related because I didn't want to spoil the trailer for myself. I didn't want any spoilers about the TV show. So I haven't seen anything. So my reaction to the actual trailer itself is going to be completely raw. It is my raw reaction to the trailer. And then what I'll probably do, as I did with my Anne Lister video with the Gentleman Jack reaction trailer video, is I will probably go back and I'll rewatch it again and maybe break it down more after I've seen it for the first time. So first time's going to be kind of like a raw reaction, and then we'll go back and we'll delve in a little bit more in depth. But just to say, I did have a comment on my last video basically saying that I hadn't done any research in advance, and again, the same with this. I haven't done any research in advance on the actual adaptation that we're going to be looking at. I know Persuasion quite well anyway, just because of my own kind of literary interests and my own interests in TV adaptations of Austen novels from the past. But so whilst I know the story quite well, and I'll be maybe comparing personally this kind of new adaptation with my favourite adaptation, which is the 2007 adaptation of Persuasion, this is going to be very raw. So again, if you don't like the fact that it's raw, that I might see some properties in the show that I don't know, and there's a bit of, oh, I wonder where that could be, etc. This is just the nature of a reaction video. I could go away and I could research everything, but then that would create what I think is a very put together video. And I'd much rather this be quite honest and raw, and I'll get excited if it's the first time I see it. And I think that makes for a better video than if I sat here knowing what I'm about to see and pretended that it was a raw video. So I hope you understand that, and I hope that clears up any confusion that might have kind of come up in my last video. So I thought very quickly I would talk about my own familiarity with the novel Persuasion, which is one of Jane Austen's 5 novels. It's actually my second favourite of Austen's novels, which I know is quite controversial. Everybody loves Pride and Prejudice, everybody loves Sense and Sensibility, and I do love those two, but they're not my favourites. My absolute favourite Austen novel ever is Northanger Abbey, which again is very controversial. Not many people love Northanger Abbey as opposed to the other novels, but I love the kind of fact that Jane Austen tried some kind of like gothic writing within Northanger Abbey, and I absolutely love the adaptation with Felicity Jones. I can't remember when it came out, but I love that adaptation of that novel. So that's my first favourite, but Persuasion is my second favourite, and I think it comes from a couple of different places. So I knew that Persuasion was one of Austen's novels, but I'd never really been tempted to open it. I'd never been tempted to read it. I'd never really heard any references to it until I watched the film The Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. And a lot of people trash this film, but I really like it. It's a real, what's the word, like an indulgent film. If you just want to watch some rom-com and just like switch your brain off, it's a really great film to watch, and I really like it. And so in that film, there is a scene where basically Sandra Bullock's character, her favourite book, is Persuasion, and she's trying to tell Keanu Reeves' character about the novel and why she loves it so much. And I'll insert a little tiny clip here from the film just so that you can see what I mean.
Kate, have you read Persuasion?
What?
By Jane Austen.
I know it's by. Yeah, it's my favorite book. Why did you bring something like that up? What made you bring that up?
A friend of mine gave it to me recently, and I was wondering what it was about.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about waiting. These two people, they meet, they almost fall in love, but the timing isn't right. They have to part. And then years later, they meet again. They get another chance. You know, but they don't know if too much time has passed, if they waited too long. It's, you know, too late to make it work.
Why do you like that?
I don't know.
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's beautiful and
No, it's terrible.
It's terrible. That's terrible.
It's terrible.
That's...
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, so when I saw that scene for the first time, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like, I didn't realise that Persuasion was so such a strange kind of romantic novel, because obviously Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, they're very kind of simple romance novels, really. They're about, you know, a woman falls in love with a man, there's a bit of tussle, but in the end they all end up happy. And I loved the fact that Persuasion seemed to start with an unrequited love, and then slowly kind of the two main characters were figuring out whether they could be together. And so after I saw The Lake House for the first time, I was like, right, I'm going to go and I'm going to get a copy of Persuasion and I'm going to read it. So then I picked up this copy of Persuasion. It's, oh, is it upside down? It is upside down. Yeah, this copy of Persuasion. Now, I think it is a hardback, so it will have had a dust jacket at some point, but I don't actually know what the dust jacket looked like because I never had it with the dust jacket. If I can find it, I'll put a little picture of it up online. But it's a Book of the Month Club version from New York, so maybe it's an American, yeah, printed in the USA. So this was done in, this edition especially created in 1996 for Book of the Month Club, printed in the United States. So it's got a number of illustrations throughout it, which are quite sweet. So yeah, I picked up this copy. As I say, I can't remember where I got it from. Oh God, I probably would have been like 16, 17, something like that. So yeah, The Lake House came out in 2006. So I think I saw that at the cinema. So I would have seen that in 2006. And then I must have picked this up at some point between that and the next adaptation coming out, because I definitely read the book by the time the 2007 adaptation came out with Sally Hawkins and Rupert Penry-Jones. And that adaptation, oh, I mean, the book's great. The book is amazing. From what I can remember, like I say, if I read it in 2006, that's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yes, I'm a child and I still count on my fingers. So that's 16 years since the last time I read Persuasion. And yeah, so I must have read it before the adaptation came out. And I loved it, but the adaptation absolutely just swept me off my feet.
Why, Miss Elliot, you've just missed Frederick.
He has just gone to call upon you at Camden Place.
I absolutely love that adaptation. I think that Sally Hawkins as Anne Elliot is just absolutely the Anne that I envisaged. You know, a little bit of a plain Jane, very much overshadowed by other people. And I'm really going to be interested to see what this trailer's like with Dakota Johnson, because Dakota Johnson is absolutely beautiful. She's such a beautiful woman. And the whole point of Anne Elliot is that she was a little bit of a wallflower. She kind of melted into the background and she was almost invisible to a lot of people around her because she wasn't seen as like a desirable conquest. So I'm going to be interested to see how they kind of calm down Dakota Johnson's allure, for want of a better word. Obviously, a lot of us know Dakota Johnson through 50 Shades of Grey. So this is a completely different film for her. Yeah, and aside from that, Dakota Johnson is American, so I'm going to be interested to see how she copes with British accent and how she copes with taking on the very Austen-like character of Anne Elliot. I didn't realise this until recently, that Dakota Johnson is actually Melanie Griffith's daughter. I don't know why I didn't know that, but I didn't. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how Dakota Johnson handles the character. As I say, I've never seen anything with Cosmo Jarvis in before. I don't think... I was in Lady Macbeth in 2016, which I haven't seen, but I have heard that it's very good, is Lady Macbeth, with... Who is it that's in the main character? Is it Florence Pugh? I absolutely love Florence Pugh. Oh, she's one of my favourite actors at the moment. I absolutely think she's brilliant. So I haven't seen that Lady Macbeth, but he was in that. So if you've seen that film, then that might give you some kind of sense of what to expect from his role in Persuasion. So we're going to jump into the reaction now, just to say again that it has been about 16 years since I read the novel, and I haven't rewatched the 2007 adaptation. I haven't had time to watch it between the trailer being announced and making this video, but I'm definitely going to reread the book before the Netflix show comes out on the 15th of July, and if I have time, I will rewatch the adaptation as well, although I do know the adaptation very well. So I don't probably need to watch that, but yes, just to say, if I say anything inaccurate in this video, I am sorry, I apologise in advance, but as I said, this is a very raw reaction video, so hopefully you can forgive me. I'm going to put my headphones in so that I can hear the audio properly, and if I'm looking this way, it's because I'm watching the trailer video on my computer, but I am taking a screenshot of it, so I'll put the trailer up here, and so hopefully you'll get both reactions at the same time.
I almost got married once. There were no two souls more in rhythm than Wentworth and I. And I was persuaded by my family to give him up. My father,
Exquisite jawline.
he's never met a reflective surface he didn't like. And my sisters.
I'm just too kind, Anne, that's my problem. I give all of my attention to others and then I suffer for it.
Oh, I
Where are
know.
your children?
How should I know?
You've been a far happier woman in keeping him than I have been in giving him up.
It's been 7 years.
8.
Darling, at some point, you have to move on.
Where do I know her from?
There'll be special guest time.
Gallant Captain Wentworth. Is it true he's devastatingly handsome?
Look at me, I'm Captain Wentworth and I am handsome.
Captain, meet Anne.
Actually, we've met.
Met.
Long ago, not before I was handsome.
Your face has matured. Your hair remains intact.
Your hair is also suitably appropriate.
You still have jam on your face.
Now we're worse than exes.
That's good.
We're friends.
I like the narrative that she's kind of putting through it. Oh.
Perfect.
Pardon me.
I love the
think I'm in
comedic
your
aspect
way.
of it.
Perhaps you can correct that.
Can I help you with something?
Considering what I'd like help with, probably not.
Do I sense a romance brewing?
He must be after something.
Why are you so suspicious?
I am willing to work for my titles.
Imagine my luck. A flirt and a hard worker.
Oh, don't forget rich.
How is it that life without warning become flooded with so much newness? I broke his heart. I don't want you to be angry.
What would you want me to
Did
do?
you say hangry then?
I know how much you value your friendship.
I didn't know if I'd ever see you again, or if you knew how much I cared.
Time makes many changes.
And not yet so much changed. Don't let anyone tell you how to live. Or who to love.
to it. Let me just sneak forward. No, okay. Okay, I have some thoughts. First of all, they've not done a very good job at all of making Dakota Johnson less beautiful. I don't know, it doesn't seem to be in keeping with the character of Anne Elliot that I know, or that I kind of feel is the Anne of the book and the Anne of previous adaptations that I've seen. Having said that, I'm well up for people coming up with new kind of angles and new perspectives from books like this. So maybe the angle of this one is less that she is physically dowdy and a wallflower and this, that and the other, and more to do with personalities and circumstances, and maybe it explores that side of her separation from Captain Wentworth and why she didn't marry subsequently. I mean, there is obviously the narrative of her flirtation with Mr. Elliot, who is Anne's distant cousin. But yeah, obviously she's not married in all the time since she was initially separated from Captain Wentworth. And so it'll be interesting. I'm not saying that just because they've cast a beautiful actor means that it's not true to the book. It's just, it'll be interesting to see how that is kind of how her character is portrayed, which actually brings me back to a bit more of the trailer really, which is that they've obviously gone down the slightly more comedic route for making this, which they did with the recent adaptation of Emma, and also Gentleman Jack has got that kind of slightly humorous angle, that kind of breaking of the fourth wall, is it, where you look at camera and you basically say, you know, you kind of, something's going on, then you look at camera and go like that. They did it in Gentleman Jack to really great effect, and I feel like it's going to be done to great effect here as well. Obviously in the book there's no, Anne's not recounting the details of what's happened, but in the 2007 adaptation Anne does. It's like she's writing down what had happened, and she's kind of like giving the audience, us watching, kind of an account of what's occurred. Although in the trailer you don't see her writing, it's just that at certain parts she's like talking over, she's like narrating over the kind of scene that's happening. And then obviously she does break the fourth wall and she looks at the camera on a few times as well. So that's really interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of works. It looks really good, to be honest, at the moment, the way it works. It looks like it's kind of blended quite seamlessly and quite well in with the actual adaptation itself. And I love the diversity and representation in it as well. Obviously we've got people of varying different skin colours in the film itself, and I think that's great. I'm not going to go into the whole argument that goes between people saying that it's not historically accurate, this, that and the other. I'm not taking any of that on. Please do not start any conversation about that in the comments, otherwise your comment will be deleted. I think it's wonderful that we have diversity coming into historical adaptations now. So yeah, I think it's all in all at the moment, I think it looked great. I thought it looked really good, and I'm going to put the headphones on now and we're going to have another look in depth, and I'll pause it at any point if I want to say anything. Okay, let's put this back to the beginning.
I almost got married once. There were no two souls more in rhythm than Wentworth and I.
I love that quote there, though, no two souls in rhythm than Wentworth and I. That is basically, I think, and obviously I don't know if this is true or not, I think that's a rip-off of the quote that is one of my favourite quotes from the book, and it's most people's favourite quote from the book, to be honest. It's like the most iconic line from Persuasion, which is, "There could never have been two hearts so open, no tastes so similar, no feelings so in unison, no countenances so beloved. Now they were as strangers, nay, worse than strangers, for they could never become acquainted. It was a perpetual estrangement." And it's that first bit of the line that people seem to love the most, which is, "There could have been no two hearts so open, no tastes so similar, no feelings so in unison," that people quote quite a lot. And I think that is a kind of the way that they've kind of used that, being able to get that quote into the film basically without having to like quote it absolutely the same. Just see.
There were no two souls more in rhythm than Wentworth and I.
Yeah.
And I was persuaded by my family to give him up. My father.
Oh, I love Richard E. Grant. I think he's absolutely amazing. Have you ever seen the film, what is it called? Oh God, I'm sorry. I really wish I could remember things off the top of my head. It's a film basically where Richard E. Grant's wife dies and he's left with the baby. His wife dies in childbirth and he's left with the little girl who I think is called Sarah. And he basically raises the baby on his own. Well, not on his own. He's got help from in-laws and his parents and this, that and the other. And it's just the most heartwarming film. I think it's from the 80s or the early 90s. If I can find it, I'll enter the name of it. But it's basically a scene where he puts the baby, who he has no idea what to do with because his wife's died and he's left literally holding the baby. He doesn't know what to do, so he puts her in an envelope and puts a sock on her head to take her out to buy her some stuff.
It's clean, I promise. You look fab. Yes, you do. You look fab.
It's just an adorable film, but I think his character, he is such an amazing actor because he has the ability to do these really serious, deep, dark films, and also he's got so much comedic ability as well in his acting. So I'm really excited to see him in this film.
Was it jawline?
He's never met a reflective surface he didn't like. And my sisters.
I'm just too...
I do like the amount of colour that is in, and this feels to me like something that is very of the current period, of the current trend that we have right now for historical adaptations, is to have very brightly coloured rooms. Forgive me, I don't know of many examples of country house interiors of the early 19th century that would have had bright blue painted panelled walls. Forgive me if I'm wrong, there may be the odd example, but in all of the kind of country house interiors that I've come across, a lot of the interiors tend to be much more muted, lots of whites, lots of fabrics on the walls, kind of like silks and silk panels on the walls. And so I think this kind of fashion, if I just go back a little bit, this here particularly, this kind of fashion for like all of the panels being painted in, let's be honest, a very Farrow and Ball-esque colour, I'm not sure is historically accurate, but it does make for a very visually striking film. And so it's one of those, it was an artistic choice to do it, and so I can understand that. I do think that that is very much of the time at the moment. We found it with the new adaptation of Emma, did the same kind of thing, and I think we will find that it will go out of fashion again in another kind of 10 years when they do the next round of adaptations or whatever. But we'll see. I'm happy to stand corrected in that instance.
And my sisters.
I'm just too kind, Anne, that's my problem. I give all of my attention to others.
I like this actor. I don't know her name. I don't think I've seen her in anything before, but I like the way that she speaks. She's got really lovely diction. And I love this costume. So she looks to have probably quite a historically accurate outfit there. Again, I'm not a costume historian. I don't pretend to be a costume historian. If you want to know about historical accuracy in costumes, I highly recommend you go and see Bernadette Banner's videos. This looks to me to be quite historically accurate, or I could believe it as a non-understander of historical costumes. I could believe that that was an early 19th century outfit. We will come on to another one in the end, which I don't think looks historically accurate at all, but we'll go from there. I do know that one thing that Bernadette Banner would say in this instance is that the characters have got far too much makeup on. They have modern makeup, and they wouldn't have had mascara on at this time. Although I don't know if there was a beauty treatment that would darken the lashes, maybe like putting kohl or soot or something onto the eyelashes to darken them may have been something. But obviously mascara wasn't around in the early 19th century. So yeah, that's something that I know Bernadette Banner picks up on quite a lot.
And then I suffer for it.
Also, there's some very different choices here between hairstyles. Dakota Johnson, for the most part of the trailer, I don't think there's any bit of the trailer where she's got her hair up. she has it down, whereas her sister has it up. Now, there is a very much a thing of unmarried women having hair down, but once you were married, having your hair up was a thing. I would need to look into that and do some more research into that, the kind of history of hairstyles for married versus unmarried women in the early 19th century. This is just off the top of my head of what I remember of kind of fashion and styles. I didn't think it was as much of a thing by this point. I know that very much in the medieval and the early modern period, it was much more kind of understood that an unmarried woman would have her hair down, but once you were married, you would tie it up and have it away. And that was in conjunction with things like wimples and head coverings. I'm not sure it would have been quite as used in this particular period. And I think having your hair look like Dakota Johnson's does, which is very beautiful and very down. I mean, she's got bangs in American, she's got a fringe. That feels like a modern hairstyle to me. I think even if she was unmarried, she would have still had hair up, or she'd have had it styled, or it would have been in some kind of fashionable style. She looks like she's tumbled out of bed, which I'm guessing is what they want the whole thing to look at. It doesn't feel very historically accurate to me, but it does, in very simple terms, shows her as a young woman, immature in many ways in her style, clearly unmarried as opposed to her sister, who I think her sister is married. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, her sister looks very much more put together, very much more the traditional Austen woman, whereas Dakota Johnson looks like she's kind of breaking the mold. So there's so many really interesting things that you can unpick just from a trailer, and just from a single scene of a trailer, into like the reasons behind the production, the reasons behind props, the costumes, the hairstyles. And I love all of that kind of stuff. I love unpicking it, but I could be here for hours. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to press play and we'll keep looking.
How should I know?
She broke the fourth wall there. That was good.
In keeping him than I have been in giving him up.
It's been 7 years.
8.
I like that actor. She looks brilliant.
Move on.
Got any special guest tonight?
Gallant Captain Wentworth. Is it true he's devastatingly handsome?
Oh. She had her hair up then.
Look,
We met.
met.
Long ago, not before I was handsome.
Your face has matured. Your hair remains intact.
Your hair is also suitably appropriate.
You still have jam on your face.
That whole scene's a little cringe. If I'm being totally honest, it's a bit like, ugh. It's a bit lazy humour. But, you know, I think, to be honest, my overall feeling with this is that if you are absolutely married to the 2007 version of Persuasion, you're probably going to hate this, because it takes it in a completely different way. Obviously, the 2007 version is very serious. There's lots of really lingering moments. I mean, Christ, the end scene of the 2007 Persuasion, when Captain Wentworth goes to kiss Anne Elliot, that goes on far too long. It's something like 10 seconds, 10, 12 seconds when they start kissing and she's all like trembling lips, and it's a bit much. But this is like the complete other end of the spectrum. There's comedy, there's kind of jokey moments, the language and the scripting and the words are very different from the book and from the old adaptation.
Now
So
we're worse
I think
than
it's going to be a bit of a Marmite
We're
one, if I'm
friends.
honest. Oh, it's a beautiful scene. That was the bit that I meant, where she talks over the top. She's talking to the... I mean, it could be that there's somebody else stood next to her on the beach that we haven't seen in that scene, and she is talking to a friend or a family member or whatever. But to me, that looks a lot more kind of confessional, as if she's talking to herself or talking to us as the audience.
Perfect.
Did we need a slapstick gravy spilling on the head moment? I'm not sure, but I like the fact that she looks at the camera at that moment. Obviously, it's a little bit of humour. I'd really love to see, well, obviously we will see when we watch the film. I'm really excited to see how the comedy blends into the rest of the scene. So is that a very serious scene and then there's that moment that just kind of breaks up the moment into a bit of comedy, or is it kind of bubbling along the surface all the way through? Be interesting to watch it. But yeah.
Why are you so suspicious?
I am willing to work for no time.
Bath. That was I think the Royal Crescent at Bath. Everybody knows this street. Obviously, a lot of the action of Persuasion takes place in Bath, so obviously they are going to film in Bath. It is one of the most historically accurate towns for this period that we have in the UK surviving. So a lot of historical dramas do film in Bath. Yeah.
Imagine my luck. A flirt and a hard worker.
Oh, don't forget Rich.
How is
Right, okay. So that's another scene that makes me think, that they're kind of going away from the kind of wallflower, quiet, overlooked character, because in that particular scene, Dakota Johnson is outwardly flirting with Mr. Elliot, and he's very challenging and isn't the historical expectation of an early 19th century woman. And so, I mean, there are some historical examples of women being that kind of willing to speak and forthright. I'm thinking particularly of Harriet Cavendish, who I wrote about in my first book. She was like that. She was very outspoken. She wasn't afraid to kind of hold her own in a conversation with men. And that meant that she didn't get as many marriage proposals because men thought that she was a little bit tricky. I think she was a wonderful character, and nowadays she would be absolutely the most amazing person. She was ahead of her time in so many ways. And I think that's kind of the route they're going down with this portrayal of Anne Elliot. I'm not sure that that is 100% accurate to the book, and certainly not accurate to the 2007 adaptation. But again, they've made a choice, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes with the rest of the film.
That life without warning become flooded with so much newness. I broke his heart.
There's some beautiful scenery.
I don't want you to be angry.
What would you want me to be?
I'm sure I don't want you to be hangry. I'm sure that's what she said. Let's have another listen.
I don't want you to be angry.
What would you want me to be?
That sounds like angry to me. I mean, to be fair, she's American, is Dakota Johnson. Throughout this trailer, you would not necessarily have known that. I thought she did very well with her English accent. It's maybe not as clipped as some previous Jane Austen adaptations, but again, this is a modern version, so I don't mind that at all. And like I say, I think she does very well with the British accent. She's doing great. It's just that bit where she says, I don't want you to be hangry, which made me giggle when I heard it first time around.
How much she values your friendship.
I didn't know if I'd ever see you again, or if you knew how much I cared.
Time makes many changes.
Don't let anyone tell you how.
That was that scene where she blows out the candle. Yeah, she just looks beautiful. I mean, she is a beautiful actress. Actor, sorry. Yeah.
To live. Or who to love.
Yeah, the sweeping scenery of these wide shots where it shows the landscape is really beautiful. And I love that it has this kind of patina over it, so that it's kind of ever so slightly washed out. And I like that as well as a kind of finishing for the video. But yeah, that's, yeah, I mean, it's just made me super, super excited to watch the actual full adaptation now. And it's also made me very excited to read the book and to go back and watch the 2007 adaptation as well. Yeah, I think it looks great and I'm really excited to watch it. I don't know why I've still got these on. I could take my headphones off now, which probably means I'm going to shout at the camera a lot less now. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed my reaction video. I hope you've enjoyed me going through it a little bit more. I'm sorry if it's a little bit of a longer video than I probably said it was going to be at the beginning. I've had a lot to talk about, but I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you want to see me do any more of these videos, then let me know. If this isn't your speed and you don't like it and you'd want me to do some different content, again, let me know in the comments, or send me a direct message on Instagram. Either way, I'm happy to receive recommendations for new videos. I have a couple of other things coming up in the next couple of weeks, and then I can maybe do another one in a month or two's time, depending on what comes out. It all depends on what happens. I mean, I wasn't intending to do another reaction video quite so soon after the last couple that I did, but to be honest, this trailer came out and I saw it and I thought, wow, well, everyone's going to be talking about this, so I'd best watch it. And with it being Persuasion, yeah, I really wanted to watch it as well. So yes, that's why I've done one now, but obviously then I'm not going to become a reaction channel, don't worry. But yeah, this is a big part of what I do, is watching historical dramas, reading historical novels, and obviously you know that a lot of my kind of expertise and my background is in country house history and as a country house historian, and so much of Jane Austen's novels centre around country houses. So it's something that I've kind of, as I've developed my career, I've worked a lot on Austen novels. I've watched a lot of adaptations, I've read all the books, and I know of a lot of the kind of historical context of Austen's novels. And so when this came out, it seemed like a really great opportunity for me to yeah, have a look at it and to share my thoughts with you. So again, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching until the end. If you could please subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. I'm really trying to build up my audience to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you're already subscribed, please could you pick one friend or family member to recommend my channel to, and hopefully we can grow our community a little bit as we go through the rest of the year. So thank you very much. I will see you again next Sunday for another channel. Take care, stay safe. Bye guys.